सबको आता है, ऐसा नहीं हमें नहीं आता।
यह सिंदूर की लाली शौर्य की कहानी है, भारत के मस्तक पर वीरता की निशानी।
In just a moment from now, viewer, here on India Matters, we're going to show you how very ugly politics has erupted over Operation Mahadev, the key details of which you'll only hear right here on NDTV. That's a guarantee. While others speculate, I'm going to be bringing you the definitive account of how the forces hunted down the terrorists, including one terrorist directly linked to the Pahalgam terror attack 97 days ago. The inside details of what the Indian Army has officially called Operation Mahadev. I'll tell you why it's called Operation Mahadev as well. These are some of the breaking details that we're bringing in at this time. The forces had been chasing these terrorists for many, many days. In fact, we are told, remember that that Pahalgam terror attack took place more than 3 months ago. They've been chasing them since then. The terrorists had been tracked to a particular hilltop very close to Srinagar, where they were cornered and then finally eliminated in one of the most rugged areas of Jammu. In fact, Vishnu Shom, who's acquired these first details, which we are, remember, it's an operation that's still very much on, but Vishnu and I always take care to report only what we are allowed to report. Vishnu, details of what are coming out in what this operation has been about. Operation Mahadev took a few hours. Preceded it were months of tracking these terrorists.
Yes, it was done in a very diligent manner. It was extremely difficult. The terrain played a real factor over here. This was extremely rugged. 13,000 feet is where this particular camp of these terrorists was located. Very, very rugged, fully forested in those areas. Vertical climbs almost in certain areas. This was an op-based operation. There was a lot of technical intelligence which was used. Presumably that means the interception of communications between this group of terrorists and their handlers. Again, the details of that I will not spell out. It reveals a certain capability, but this is what I'm led to believe. The Indian Army had soldiers, and remember, they often operate on the basis of, joint groups. So there would be special soldiers, special Jawans of the Jammu and Kashmir Police, Rashtra Rifles, CRPF, etc. But soldiers had been deployed in the higher reaches of the Dachigam forest. The exchange of fire happened at approximately 9 a.m. this morning. This is important. This encounter site where the encounter took place is linked to a ridge. It sort of is linked to a ridge, and that goes down to Pahalgam itself. So they were in the vicinity of Pahalgam, and they've been there, it is believed, for the last couple of months. There have been skilled troop deployments in this, which is why sources indicate that it's unlikely that these very highly trained terrorists were able to settle down, as it were, in any part of that entire ridge line. Now, after they were taken out, and what we can confirm is that these were headshots. They were taken out, they were eliminated. Photos have been sent to the NIA, the National Investigating Agency. We expect more details tomorrow.
Thanks very much, Vishnu, for getting us those details. In fact, we've got even more details of the precise timeline of this entire operation, and I wanted to bring some of these details to you before we show you what happened in Parliament, and you need to wait for that. The terrorist group had been tracked. You heard Vishnu talk about how they'd been tracked for the last couple of months. 4 days ago, there was another intelligence input narrowing down the focus and giving the security agencies a very specific idea of where they might be. At about 2 a.m. this morning, and remember, I am masking some of the specific details in the interests of operational security. We've got clearance to use some of this information because it is not a sensitive nature. The group activated, the terror group, these guys apparently activated a T-82 Ultra set Chinese-made communication device. It's almost like a satellite phone, and that was the dead giveaway. The terror team's precise location was immediately picked up because Indian sensors were already tracking them. These were 3 Pakistani terrorists who were tracked in this manner. At about 8 this morning, a drone of some kind was launched to get a first visual detail of these terrorists and their location. At about 9:30 in the morning, a cordon was placed around the particular area of interest by a Rashtra Rifles unit. At about 10 this morning, A para-commando team of the Indian Army ascended the Mahadev Hill feature where these terrorists were said to be located. At about 10:30 a.m., a positive ID of the terrorists were conducted by the commandos on site. By 11, all 3 terrorists were hit in a first burst of fire. By about 11:45 a.m., 1 injured terrorist attempted to escape, but he was eliminated by the para-commandos. By 12:30, half past noon, cleansing operations took place in a 2-kilometer radius by the Special Forces as well as the Rashtriya Rifles. By around 1:45 p.m. today, at about the time when Parliament was getting ready to begin the Operation Sindoor debate, the terrorists' bodies were ID'd and they were photographed. It was decided that the army would hold a briefing later, but that has been postponed to tomorrow. Let's just show you for a bit, because already politics has broken out in Parliament over Operation Sindoor. But let's first show you what happened as part of this debate.
अध्यक्ष महोदय, कभी कभी हमारे प्रतिपक्ष के लोग ये पूछते रहे हैं कि हमारे कितने विमान गिरे। मुझे लगता है उनका यह प्रश्न हमारी राष्ट्रीय जनभावनाओं का सही से प्रतिनिधित्व नहीं कर रहा है। मुझे लगता है उन्होंने एक बार भी हमसे यह नहीं पूछा कि हमारी सेनाओं ने दुश्मन के कितने विमान मार गिराए।
क्या ये जरूरी नहीं कि जेट गिरे, पर क्यों गिरे, क्या गलतियां हुई, वो महत्वपूर्ण है। संख्या महत्वपूर्ण नहीं सर। 35 ही राफेल है देश में, 35 ही राफेल है। अगर उनमें से कुछ गिरे भी तो देखिए सर, मुझे तो लगता है कि बहुत बड़ी क्षति हुई। रक्षा मंत्री होने के नाते ये नहीं कहा कि पहलगाम में दहशतगर्द कैसे आए। कहीं ना कहीं एक सरकार में एक अहंकार आ चुका है। इंटेलिजेंस और सिक्योरिटी जो फ्रेमवर्क है, एस्टैब्लिशमेंट है, जो लोग हैं जो निर्णय लेते हैं इंटेलिजेंस और सिक्योरिटी की, आज उनमें एक अहंकार आ गया है कि चाहे जितनी भी बड़ी गलती हो उन पर कोई सवाल नहीं उठा सकता। लेकिन आज हम सवाल उठा रहे हैं। नैतिक जिम्मेवारी आपको लेनी पड़ेगी। आप लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर के पीछे नहीं छुप सकते।
We highlighted that 9 sites had been targeted, and we said that our actions are focused, measured, and non-escalatory in nature. And we were living up to the commitment that those responsible for this attack will be held accountable. Today, when I hear many questions from across the aisle, I want to say, which one of you imagined that Bhavalpur and Muridke would be brought down the way it was? Which one of you thought it? When did you even think of it during your tenure? Did it even cross your mind? In fact, on the contrary, you ruled it out after 26/11. Warnings about China, cautions about China, China is planning this, China is planning that. But sir, I want to remind this House, Doklam crisis was on. The leader of opposition decided to get a briefing from whom? Not from the government, not from the emir, from the Chinese ambassador. He took his briefing from the Chinese ambassador when our military was confronting the Chinese military in Doklam.
Home Minister Amit Shah is scheduled to speak tomorrow at 12, but he did get up to intervene aggressively on 2 occasions today. In case you missed it, here it is.
विदेश मंत्री यहाँ स्टेटमेंट कर रहा है, उस पर भरोसा नहीं है, उनको किसी और देश पर भरोसा है। मैं समझ सकता हूं उनकी पार्टी में विदेश का महत्व क्या है, मगर इसका मतलब ये तो नहीं है पार्टी की सारी चीजें यहाँ सदन में आकर थोपे। भारत के विदेश मंत्री पर भरोसा नहीं करोगे? ओथ लिया हुआ व्यक्ति यहाँ पर बोल रहा है, ही इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, इसीलिए ये वहां बैठे हैं और 20 साल तक वहीं बैठने वाले हैं। उनके स्पीकर जब बोल रहे थे, हम पूरे धैर्य से सुने। मैं बताऊंगा कितनी असत्य बातें बोली गई कल, परंतु फिर भी असत्य को भी हम हलाहल समझकर पी गए। अब ये सत्य भी नहीं सुन पाते हैं।
Okay, and the politics has begun. The quest for proof and questioning the timing of the Operation Mahadev encounter has begun. You can always trust our politicians to begin questioning the timing of an encounter as if the Indian army chooses when to actually kill terrorists. Well, Congress MP Imran Masood has just gone on the record to question the timing. He says, what were they doing for 3 months? Imagine a member of parliament casting aspersions on the Indian army and saying, what were they doing for 3 months? The BJP has hit back at this Congress doubter MP. Take a look at this. The BJP MP says the Congress is politicizing Pahalgam. The Congress has hit back and says, isn't it too much of a coincidence that these terrorists were killed today while the Operation Sindoor debate begins? Take a look at this face-off.
अरे रक्षा मंत्री बोल रहे हैं, रक्षा मंत्री को पता नहीं कब मार गिराया। रक्षा मंत्री के बोलने के बाद गौरव गोगोई जी ने सवाल उठाया तो आपने 1 मिनट के अंदर मार दिया आतंकवादी। कहां से ले आए आप? कौन था वो आतंकवादी? क्या उसका कनेक्शन है? उस कनेक्शन को कैसे साबित हुआ कि आपने फटाक से इधर बोला? गौरव जी ने आपने फटाक से बता दिया कि हमने एक मार भी दिया। इतना तेज नेटवर्क है। अगर इतना ही तेज नेटवर्क था तो पीओ के ऊपर तिरंगा फहरता हुआ होता। पीओ
अभी तक ये सवाल उठा रहे थे कि पहलगाम के मास्टरमाइंड या जो टेररिस्ट थे कहाँ गए। अब अगर सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेज लगातार जो ट्रैक कर रही थी तो आज अगर उनका इनकाउंटर हुआ तो एक तरह से जहां हमने पाकिस्तान में उनके सारे हेडक्वार्टर्स को नेस्तनाबूद किया, आज उनको भी अंजाम में पहुंचा दिया जो पहलगाम के मतलब टेररिस्ट है या उनके मास्टरमाइंड है। अब इस पर सवाल उठा रहे हैं। इससे साफ है कि वो केवल राजनीति कर रहे हैं।
And let me tell you about the big guns that are going to boom in Parliament tomorrow. Today you heard the Defence Minister, you had Gaurav Gogoi, you had the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, Dipinder Hooda. There has been a few scheduling tweaks as a result of which some of the speakers on both sides have been shifted to tomorrow. Let me just show you who they are. Day 2 is going to be full of the very, very big guns. Rahul Gandhi, Leader of the Opposition, Congress MP, will be speaking. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, Congress MP from Wayanad, will also be speaking. She was supposed to speak today. K.C. Venugopal, a General Secretary Organization and Congress MP, will also be speaking. Mallikarjun Kharge, Congress President, Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament, will also be expected to speak tomorrow. There are also from the government side, the big suspense, of course, is on whether the Prime Minister will be speaking. There is no confirmation just yet. There has been some chatter about that. We can, however, confirm that Amit Shah, the Home Minister, will be speaking sometime around midday. JP Nadda, the BJP President, Lok Sabha MP, will also be speaking tomorrow. The big question, of course, like I said, is on whether the Prime Minister will be making an intervention tomorrow. It could happen, if it does at all, sometime in the evening. Maria Shakil joins me on more. Maria, the big guns really are going to be booming all day tomorrow in Parliament, starting with the Home Minister at about midday. Both sides of the aisle are going to have their top speakers speaking. But everyone wants to know, what about the Prime Minister? Anything you're hearing, Maria?
Yes, for the moment, what the indication from the BJP strategists and, of course, the floor managers is that a call on that will be taken sometime towards the end of the day, because the discussion in Lok Sabha is still continuing. Shiv, look, when Dr. S. Jaishankar was speaking, Home Minister Amit Shah, responded to the Congress disruptions twice. So those are interesting interventions which we should be prepared for perhaps tomorrow, when Rahul Gandhi and particularly Priyanka Gandhi Vadra will make their speech in Parliament. But yes, the sense certainly from the government is that we do not rule out a possibility of Prime Minister's speech, Prime Minister's possible intervention towards the later part of the day. Of course, the confirmation is yet to come, but Home Minister Amit Shah himself has spoken about it. He said that he will be clarifying a lot of questions that have been raised by opposition, which he said is essentially some kind of myth or narrative building which has happened around Operation Sindoor, which could have been completely avoided by the Congress party.
Don't miss Maria's big debate coming up at 9 o'clock, decoding everything that's happened in Parliament. It's going to go on till late night today. She's got an excellent panel of guests and she's got unrivaled experience in Parliament. Don't miss that coming up at 9. Thanks very much, Maria, for that. Well, sticking with the eruptions within Parliament, I can tell you that apart from the frictions we've seen between the big speakers, whether it is Gaurav Gogoi against Jai Shankar or Gaurav Gogoi against Rajnath Singh, there have been smaller flashpoints between members of parliament that may have gone unnoticed, and it is my job to bring those to you. This one now is a face-off between high-profile MPs. LJP Ramvilas Paswan MP, Chirag Paswan's member of parliament, Shambhavi Chaudhary, was seen in parliament ripping into Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. She says, you cry for Palestine, but you have no time to cry for Pahalgam. She was referring to that famous viral image of Priyanka Gandhi flaunting a bag with Palestine written on it during her initial days in parliament. She's questioned the Congress's selective outrage. This is Shambhavi Chaudhary of the LJP. Listen in, a little soundbite that you won't hear anywhere else.
ये पूरा देश वो चित्र कैसे भूल सकता है जब एक नवविवाहित महिला लाल चूड़ी पहनकर अपने पति के शव के बगल में बैठी थी। इसने पूरे देश को झंझोड़ करके रख दिया था। लेकिन दुर्भाग्य की बात यह है कि आज भी हमारे देश में ऐसे लोग हैं जिनको पहलगाम से ज्यादा दुख पैलेस्टीन के लिए होता है, क्योंकि ये उनकी राजनीति को फायदा नहीं देता। लेकिन
The big debate on Operation Sindoor is one of the most serious discussions and opportunities for genuine conversation and debate in India's August Parliamentary House. Now, is it going to be a constructive debate? Is it going to be a constructive discussion? Well, day one has had a bit of a mixed bag. It started with disruptions, but then it went on to be one of the most detailed exchanges between the government and the Treasury benches. But tonight on India Matters, I want to get a mix of expert views from military veterans, but also those who lost something in Pahalgam, viewer. Let us never lose sight of the fact that Pahalgam was a terror attack in which 26 people died. And two of the people who lost a loved one that day were Rajesh Narwal, father of Naval Officer Lieutenant Vinay Narwal, all of 26 years old. Also is Nazakat Ali, a man who, remember, saved 11 lives in Pahalgam, selflessly saved 11 lives in Pahalgam and lived to tell the tale. Incredible tales of tragedy and valor. We're also joined on this panel by Lieutenant General S.L. Narasimhan and Lieutenant General Raj Shukla. Will be joined in a moment by Lieutenant General KJS Tiny Dhillon as well. Okay, that link with Rajesh Narwal has dropped, but I'll go to Nazakat Ali first. Nazakat bhai, धन्यवाद हमसे जुड़ने के लिए। आज एक बहुत ही अहम दिन है ये, ऑपरेशन महादेव हुआ है जिसके डिटेल्स आपको डेफिनेटली पता ही होगा। आपका क्या रिएक्शन है? 3 टेररिस्ट मारे गए हैं, एक टेररिस्ट पे कॉन्फर्मेशन आ गया है कि वो ही पहलगाम में था। आप भी थे उस दिन, 11 लोगों को आपने रेस्क्यू किया था, सुरक्षित रखा। आपको क्या कहना है आज नजाकत भाई?
जी, सबसे पहले आपका शुक्रिया हमको ज्वाइन करने के लिए। तो दूसरी बात यह है कि सर, जिन्होंने मतलब जो किया था, गलत किया था, उनको तो सजा मिलनी चाहिए थी, मिल गई। इसमें इसका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। और ऊपर से मतलब जो ये पहलगाम अटैक हुआ था, ये मतलब बिल्कुल सरासर गलत हुआ था। ये इंसानियत का, मैंने पहले भी बताया आपको, ये इंसानियत का कत्ल हुआ था। और उसके बाद हमको इंतजार था कि हमारे मतलब जो इंडियन आर्मी है उसको सलूट है, जिन्होंने आज मुंह तोड़ जवाब दिया।
सोशल मीडिया से, इंटरनेट से, मीडिया से क्या क्या जानकारी आपको मिला है अभी तक नजाकत भाई? काफ़ी कुछ इन्फॉर्मेशन सामने आया है, कुछ फोटोज भी सामने आए हैं, कुछ लोगों को कंफ्यूजन है कि हुआ है कि नहीं हुआ है, लेकिन ये तो कंफर्मेशन आ ही गया है कि एक जो आतंकवादी है इस ग्रुप में वो तो पहलगाम में शामिल था। आपके पास क्या जानकारी है?
जी, अभी तक तो हमारे पास मतलब हम यहाँ चंदनवाड़ी में हैं, जो अमरनाथ यात्रा में लगे हुए हैं
जी।
तो आज ही आए हम वहाँ शेषनाग से वापस। तो अभी तक तो हमको मतलब यही पता चला है कि वहाँ पे एनकाउंटर हुआ है, 3 आतंकवादी मारे गए हैं। तो बाकी इंफॉर्मेशन अभी हमारे पास कुछ नहीं आया है।
जी जी।
जी जी जी
जी, हमारे साथ जुड़े रहिए नजाकत भाई। राजेश नरवाल, फादर ऑफ नेवल ऑफिसर, I beg your pardon, Lieutenant Vinay Narwal is also with me live. राजेश जी नमस्कार, हमसे जुड़ने के लिए बहुत धन्यवाद। ऑपरेशन महादेव हुआ है राजेश जी, आपने सुना ही होगा, मीडिया में देखा ही होगा, डिटेल्स अभी भी पीस मील आ रहे हैं। कुछ कॉन्फर्मेशन सामने आ चुके हैं कि जो आतंकवादी मारे गए हैं उसमें से एक डेफिनेटली पहलगाम में शामिल था। आपका पहला ख्याल, आपका पहला रिएक्शन राजेश सिंह?
पहला ख्याल और रिएक्शन जो मेरा है सर, सर्वप्रथम मैं अपनी सेना के जवानों को, J&K पुलिस के जवानों को और CRPF के जवानों को जिन्होंने अपना शौर्य दिखाया, अदम्य साहस को नमन करता हूं। और जिस वीरता का वहां पर उन्होंने वीरता के साथ उस डेंस फॉरेस्ट में, महादेव पीक जो है वहाँ नीचे डाची गांव है और वहाँ डेंस फॉरेस्ट है, डेंस फॉरेस्ट में इन उग्रवादियों को ढूंढना और उनको निशाना बनाना कोई आसान काम नहीं है। तो मैं सबसे पहले उनको सैल्यूट करता हूँ।
ये बहुत ही एक मुश्किल ऑपरेशन था, जैसे आपने बताया राजेश जी। 3-4 दिन के लिए इन आतंकवादियों को पीछा कर रहा था आर्मी ने। ये एक स्पेशल फोर्सेस ऑपरेशन था, काफ़ी मुश्किल था, ड्रोन का भी इस्तेमाल हुआ था और आज सवेरे वो फाइनल एनकाउंटर हो गया था।
और जो इसमें एक सुना है कि इसमें सुलेमान शाह, हासिम जो मूसा है जी, वो पहलगाम टेरर अटैक जो किया था इन्होंने, तो उसमें वो मास्टरमाइंड थे। और ये पाकिस्तान आर्मी की में स्पेशल सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप है, उसमें ये पैरा कमांडो रहे हैं। तो ये पूर्णतः पाकिस्तान प्रायोजित भी रहा है और ये उसका मास्टरमाइंड रहे और इसका मारा जाना एक बहुत बड़ी सफलता है। और ये इसने काफी वहां पर कई वारदात की हैं पहले भी, जैसा कि गांदरबल की सुना मैंने, बीच में 1-2 जगह हमारी टुकड़ियों पर भी अटैक किया इसने। तो ये एक मास्टरमाइंड रहा है और फुली ट्रेंड है, जैसा मैं न्यूज में सुन रहा हूँ आज। तो इसका पकड़ा जाना और इसका मारा जाना एक बहुत बड़ी सफलता है हमारे लिए।
Stay with me, I'm saying this to all of our guests. Anurag Thakur, BJP MP, अभी पार्लियामेंट में बोल रहे हैं, speaking in parliament right now. Let's just cut across and listen in live.
Civilians. We strike the very heart of terror military nexus. We did not escalate. We have neutralized with precision, purpose and power. This is not a reaction. This is the doctrine and this is the new normal. मैं इतना ही कहूंगा, भारत की प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी की ये जीरो टॉलरेंस पॉलिसी टुवर्ड्स टेररिज्म आज पूरी दुनिया भर के लिए कड़ा संदेश है। इस भारतीय सेना के हमलों में लश्कर तैयबा हो, जैश ए मोहम्मद हो, हिजबुल मुजाहिदीन हो, इनके ट्रेनिंग सेंटर पर कड़ा प्रहार किया गया। यहां तक कि पाकिस्तान की जो हवाई सुरक्षा है, लाहौर, पसरूर, चुनिया, अफरीवाला के HQM मिसाइल सर्विस रडार स्टेशन नष्ट कर दिए गए। वायुसेना अड्डे चकलाला में हो, सरगोदा, रहीम यार खान, कराची, भोलाई वायुसेना अड्डों को नुकसान किया गया। लड़ाकू और अवकाश विमान नष्ट कर दिए गए। C2 प्रणाली को नुकसान किया गया। वायु रक्षा समन्वय को पंगु बनाया गया। 9 आतंकी, जिसमें जैश ए मोहम्मद से लेकर लश्कर के ठिकानों को तबाह किया गया। हमने 26/11 के हमले में जो कांग्रेस इंतजार करती रही कि शायद दुनिया की कोई और ताकत आपको परमिशन देगी, वी विल नॉट वेट फॉर द परमिशन, वी विल स्ट्राइक विद प्रिसीजन। हमने किसी का इंतजार नहीं किया, हमने आतंकवादियों को उनके घर में घुसकर मारा है, चाहे वो एयर स्ट्राइक की बात हो, सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक की बात हो या ऑपरेशन सिंदूर की बात हो। यही नहीं, इन अटैक्स में हमने पाकिस्तान एयरफोर्स का लगभग 20% इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ध्वस्त कर दिया है। 11 एयरफोर्स को हमने मात्र 3 घंटे में नेस्तनाबूद कर दिया। पहली बार है कि दुनिया के किसी न्यूक्लियर कंट्री के एयरफोर्स के कैंप्स को नष्ट करने का काम किया तो भारतीय सेना ने वो भी करके दिखाया है। यही नहीं, 26/11 के हमले में जिस स्थान से उन आतंकवादियों को ट्रेनिंग दी जाती थी, उन आतंकवादी ठिकानों को भी हमने ध्वस्त किया, मोस्ट वांटेड टेररिस्ट को भी हमने मारा और उनके आकाओं को भी मौत के घाट उतारने का काम किया तो भारतीय सेना ने किया है। केवल आतंकियों को ही नहीं, पाक भोलारी एयरबेस में 50 से ज्यादा लोग मारे गए, जिसमें पाकिस्तान स्क्वाड्रन लीडर उस्मान यूसुफ को भी और 4 एयरमैन को भी मौत के घाट उतारने का काम भारतीय सेना ने किया। यही नहीं, आपने तो उदार दिल दिखाकर इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी कर ली थी, जो पाकिस्तान के 4 लाख एकड़ जमीन को सींचता है। भारत का 80% पानी वहां पर चला जाता है। 23 करोड़ पाकिस्तानियों को पानी के पीने की व्यवस्था वहां से मिलती है। लेकिन मोदी जी ने कहा कि वाटर एंड ब्लड कांट फ्लो टुगेदर, टेरर एंड टॉक कांट गो टुगेदर, और हमने इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी को सस्पेंड कर दिया है। जो आप इतने सालों तक नहीं कर पाए, वो नरेंद्र मोदी की सरकार ने, नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने करके दिखाया है। यही नहीं, ऑपरेशन सिंदूर में विश्व ने भारतीय सेना का शौर्य देखा और हथियारों की मारक क्षमता को भी देखा है। मेड इन इंडिया वेपन्स हैव वन battlefield validation and India has displayed its cutting edge defense technology to the world. हमारी मारक क्षमता और टेक्नोलॉजिकल सुपीरियरिटी ने पाकिस्तान और चीन सहित अन्य देशों को, आप में से कुछ विपक्ष के सांसदों ने कहा कि दूसरी तरफ चीन भी था, टर्की भी था, पाकिस्तान भी था। अरे ये स्पष्ट उदाहरण है आप सबके लिए, चाहे चीन था, टर्की था, पाकिस्तान था, अकेला भारत और भारतीय सेना तीनों पर भारी पड़ी है। यह दिखता है भारतीय मेक इन इंडिया प्रोडक्ट्स भी कैसे भारी पड़े हैं। और यही नहीं, मैं आज कहूंगा कि इंडिया's ऑपरेशन ड्यूरिंग ऑपरेशन सिंदूर reflects 21st century evolution of aerial decoys and psychological dominance. This is just not warcraft, it is Minecraft. India has displayed a textbook case of aerial combat. इस कार्रवाई को सैन्य इतिहास में टेक्स्ट बुक प्रिसिशन वॉरफेयर कह रही है। थाईलैंड एयरफोर्स यूनिवर्सिटी इसे सैन्य रणनीति की टेक्स्ट बुक में शामिल करने की बात कह रही है। दुनिया इसे टेक्स्ट बुक काउंटर टेररिज्म डॉक्ट्रिन के रूप में देख रही है। और एक ऑपरेशन सिंदूर से आज दुनिया भर में पता चल गया कि भारत की ताकत क्या है और जो आज के वॉरफेयर में भारत की नई टेक्नोलॉजी ने कैसे काम किया है। आप पूछ रहे थे पिछले 10 सालों में क्या हुआ। दीपेंद्र हुड्डा जी कह रहे थे कि भारतीय सेना के बजट को क्या हुआ डिफेंस के। माननीय निर्मला सीतारमण जी यहां पर है, रक्षा मंत्री जी हैं, पूर्व रक्षा मंत्री भी हैं, आज वित्त मंत्री हैं, राजनाथ जी हैं, रक्षा मंत्री हैं। मोदी सरकार में 2.5 लाख करोड़, आपके समय 2013-14 में डिफेंस बजट था, 2.5 लाख करोड़ से बढ़कर 6,22,000 करोड़ रुपया बजट कर दिया है। अरे आप 6,81,000 करोड़ रुपया बजट कर दिया है, दुगने से ज्यादा कर दिया, 3 गुना कर दिया है। और आप अपने गिरेबान में झांक कर देखिए, 10 साल आपने सेना को बुलेट प्रूफ जैकेट तक नहीं दी। नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सरकार में मात्र 3 सालों में 2 लाख बुलेट प्रूफ जैकेट मेक इन इंडिया बनाकर हमने दी है। आपने 10 सालों में नहीं, 30 सालों में आपने 1 रैंक 1 पेंशन नहीं दिया। नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सरकार ने 1 रैंक पेंशन की मांग को भी पूरा किया है। और यही नहीं, मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं, अटल जी की सरकार में देखिए, आपके समय 48 में, 62 में, 65 में, 71 की लड़ाइयां हुई, लेकिन सेना के जवानों का पार्थिव शरीर उनके घरों तक नहीं जाता था। अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी की सरकार बनी, तब जाकर पार्थिव शरीरों को उनके घर तक पहुंचाने का काम किया, तो अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी की सरकार ने, भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार ने किया। और धर्मेंद्र जी, मैं इतना जरूर कह दूं, अरे मैं तो हिमाचल प्रदेश से आता हूं। हिमाचल प्रदेश राज्य छोटा है, लेकिन सेना में बड़ा योगदान है। अगर देश को पहला परमवीर चक्र विजेता किसी ने दिया तो मेजर सोमनाथ शर्मा हिमाचल प्रदेश ने दिया है। कारगिल युद्ध में अगर 52 शहादत सबसे ज्यादा हुई तो हिमाचल प्रदेश की हुई। 4 परमवीर चक्र विजेता हुए थे, उसमें से 2 कैप्टन विक्रम बत्रा, राइफलमैन संजय कुमार भारत हिमाचल प्रदेश से हुए हैं। सर माननीय सभापति जी, मैं इतना कहना चाहता हूं, आज नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सरकार में हमने अपना एक्सपोर्ट 34 गुना बढ़ा दिया है। 686 करोड़ से बढ़कर लगभग 24,000 करोड़ हो गया। हमारी डिफेंस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, डिफेंस प्रोडक्शन 1 लाख करोड़ एक साल की पार कर गई और 193 हमने नए कॉन्ट्रैक्ट 2,09,050 करोड़ के एक साल में करके दिखाए और 100 देशों को डिफेंस प्रोडक्ट भारत देने का काम करने जा रहे हैं।
All right, now I want to go to our military guests, and I apologize to them for keeping them waiting. We were in the middle of a breaking news situation, so we had to keep dipping into Parliament. So my apologies, General Narasimhan and General Shukla, to coming to you a little bit late. General Narasimhan, I'll kick it off with you. Two things have happened today. One, the Operation Mahadev is what the 15 Corps is calling it, in which we can confirm that at least one of those terrorists among the three is directly linked to what happened in Pahalgam. The other, of course, is the debate in Parliament as we're seeing it play out right now. Let me get both your words on the operation itself, because that's what everybody is looking at. It's become a huge emotive issue. Nearly 100 days after Pahalgam, a terror encounter in which those responsible are seen to have been brought to justice. General Narasimhan, a complicated operation. The fact that it's taken 97 days only underscoring how difficult these operations can be, sir.
Thank you very much, Varun, to have got me on this show, and nice to see my colleague Raj Shukla here on the panel with me. Two things I want to say. One is, when Operation Sindoor was I would say, concluded, the offensive activities were concluded on the May 10th. It was mentioned that Operation Sindoor is continuing. And that implied that the perpetrators of the Pahalgam incident are going to be tracked, come what may, till the time that we eliminate them totally. Yeah. So that is something that we need to keep in mind, that Operation Sindoor was continuing and it's still continuing and will continue further. That is one. Second, about the operation itself. The terrain there is mountainous as well as jungle terrain. And jungle terrains can be extremely difficult to operate. Even if a terrorist is hiding 10 meters away and you're passing through, you can give him a skip. You won't know where he is at the moment. The problem is to locate him first and then come to neutralize him. It takes time. And second thing is, as you mentioned earlier in your program, the tracking started with their usage of Huawei communication device. Yes. And then that was tracked, and then further activities took place to eliminate these three terrorists. So this is a normal practice wherein you monitor the communications of the terrorists and then take necessary action to eliminate them. I think these two have been done very well. And as far as 97 days is concerned, let it be 970 days. They will be brought to justice. That is the point I think we need to understand. Very well said. We are an emotional country, sir. So, as the days go by, we civilians are counting the number of days and we're wondering when justice is going to happen. The military has a very different clinical approach to these things, which is why it is so refreshing to hear from people like you. General Shukla, a complicated operation. The fact that it happened in 97 days is itself, in one sense, a miracle. If we have to turn this whole thing on its head, the number of hiding places, the incredible, complexity of the terrain, the fact that there can be local logistical help to some of these groups as well, all of that means that, finding a needle in this vast haystack of the Kashmir Valley and beyond is in itself a very, very big achievement, sir.
Yeah, so thank you, Shiv, for getting me on your show. It is really one of the more insightful shows in the television world today in India.
Thank you, sir.
So you must keep up the good work. And of course, a great pleasure to be here with my former boss, General Narasimhan, and Tiny Dhillon, who's been a GOC of 15 Corps.
Yes.
So just let me say this, apart from being a political sweetener, it is a closure of sorts. Because Tiny is here, nothing would have been hurting the professional pride of GOC 15 Corps and his men that for 90 days they had not got hold of these people. So in that sense, it will be a great closure. And as General Narasimhan said, what really needs to be appreciated, it's a long, hard grind. Hours of patrolling, nights of lying in wait in ambush, some close shaves, missed opportunities, so many things would have happened. So while one wants these things to finish, one knows what the difficulties are in terrain and all. Mahadev region, all Tiny will explain to you. I want to make two large points in connection with Mahadev. See how it has complemented the maneuver of Sindoor with this attrition. And both have to go hand in glove. And while I'm one of the biggest advocates of technology, my experience tells me that one area where technology does not replace troops, where troop densities matter, it is Jammu and Kashmir.
Yeah.
In that sense, we have been the wisest army in the world, wiser even than the IDF. That is the reason, because we had troop density, we don't go for brute force. And in the larger scheme of things, it's very wise because you get the violence levels down for the political bomb to be applied. In this connection, these frequent calls, Rashtriya Rifles ko downsize kar do, 6 se 4 company kar do, never do it.
Yeah.
These voids create, problems in Kashmir, which create larger national security challenges. And even, this recent stream of events can be linked back to the disruptions caused by the rebalancing towards the north. So we have to be really careful, in linking the J&K grid. And therefore, once again, in this whole business of theaterization, once again, I'm a big advocate of theaterization, but in that whole restructuring, redoing the geometry, kindly spare J&K till it stabilizes. And one point, I'm not sure of the details, but for a large period of time, we were unable to breach these Chinese communication sets.
Yeah.
So if that has been a breakthrough, I don't know, Tiny will know the details. I'm not too current on the details. If that has happened, it is an even bigger, advantage. So I mean, that much on Mahadev. I have a few points on larger Sindoor in the future.
I'll come to that.
Yeah, once you get me.
I'll come to Operation Sindoor for sure, General Shukla. Appreciate that. General Dhillon, let's dive straight into it. General Shukla has laid the groundwork for, asking someone who's led the 15 Corps what it must have taken to actually crack this. Also, from a technological point of view, you were faced with Chinese mobile phones and satellite phones. This TRF, this so-called TRF, I hate giving them their own identity because they are, after all, just the Lashkar-e-Taiba. But cracking this terror group, which had come up during your tenure, must have been extremely difficult. What would it have been like for the 15 Corps, sir?
Good evening, Shiv, and good evening to General Narasimhan and General Raj Shukla. What a pleasure to be on such an elite panel. And good evening to your viewers also. Yes, see, a lot of people compare Pulwama and our ability to get the terrorists within 100 hours with what happened in Pahalgam.
Yeah.
And my answer to this particular comparison would give in a lot of answers to the queries which you raised. See, Pulwama happened on the valley floor. There are roads and tracks, there are villages and there are small little hamlets. There are people roaming around and the line of sight for the weapons and line of sight for the communication equipment, as also for other technical equipment of interception and other thing is there. Now, in valley floor, you are seeing when you're moving and you are heard when you are talking. Now, that is not the case in Pahalgam.
Yeah.
Pahalgam, as General Narasimhan and General Raj Shukla would also know, Pahalgam is in the complete Mahadev Ridge, the pine forest surrounding the Baisaran Valley, as also the Dachigam forest and the Dachigam, reserve forest, is complete pine forest. It's not only primary forest, it's a secondary forest and tertiary forest. At places, the undergrowth during the monsoon is as high as 10 feet. That means if you are walking in a line head formation or one chap behind the other, if you miss him by 2 meters, you miss him by the line of sight. You have to shout for him. That is the density of the woods. Secondly, the communication equipments don't work very well here. There are hardly any mobile towers there, and the line of sight, disrupts the communication. The technical equipment doesn't work here. The satellite things don't work here very well because of the tree canopy.
Yes.
So this is the area which is high altitude and the inclines are too steep. And most importantly, in these areas, starting from Baisaran, coming right up to Dachigam, or along the Mahadev Ridge. Tralbaul, the last village, is a Lam village. There afterwards, it's all jungle. There are no foot tracks, oblique trails to follow and move fast. Since there are no villages here, and there are no hamlets there. Only some Gujars who come up during summers with their livestock will be there, and only they are the people who can give you some information. So, as I said earlier, the human comes very difficult here. Technical it becomes very difficult here. Line of sight is difficult, and this operation today, and it did not start today. Let me be very clear about it. As General Shukla was saying, and you're saying 97 days, I'm very sure the security forces started putting in their act on 22nd April itself.
Correct.
And they were getting the information in bits and pieces, some technical, some human end, some visualized it, and they were just tracking these people.
Yeah.
The type of dry ration packets which are found on them, it only shows that they were typically on a jungle survival mode.
Yeah.
And the type of weapon systems which are seen in the photographs released to media so far also indicates that it's a very important group. And the type of communication system, the Chinese satellite phone and other things which people are talking about. Yes, General Shukla says, I'm aware of most of things, but I would not like to discuss on capabilities on television.
No, absolutely.
So I will leave it at that.
Fact,
but yes,
in fact,
those things would be of great help to the security forces in locating, then tracking, and finally eliminating.
The Indian Army is going to be holding a very detailed briefing tomorrow. And I hope, we'll get some more details, because this is an important operation. And on NDTV, as you all know, we never discuss classified, sensitive operational details. We, even when we want to report something that sounds even a slightly bit sensitive, we will pass it through the army and say, sir, is this okay? To report it. General Narasimhan knows about that as well. But General Narasimhan, zooming out a little bit now, from the Mahadev range to Parliament, where there is this high-level debate that has gone on. Day one today, the big guns of the government and the opposition will be booming tomorrow in Parliament. From what you've seen of the debate, as a military man, as a former commander, person who's led troops on the ground in terror and otherwise, what did you make of it? Are you satisfied with the political conversation around Operation Sindoor?
I don't comment on political things, but on this, let me just make a couple of points. One is, while the opposition is trying to find fault with the government has given the facts to the House. So this is something which is going to go on tomorrow, day after, and I'm sure it will go to its own logical conclusion at the end of the debate. This was expected anyway. I mean, whatever facts are put in the Parliament, I'm sure the opposition is going to question them which way or the other. This point I want to mention is that the sensitivities of the operation that has been carried out has to be maintained. And the sanctity of these operations have to be maintained. And that is one issue. Second thing is, on Sindoor, there are a lot of questions which are raised in the Parliament, whether the aircraft was lost or otherwise. To the extent that it is possible to reveal the information, the government as well as the CDS has conveyed it in many forums as to what happened actually there. I think it is for us to respect that particular thing, and since the Operation Sindoor is still continuing, I think that is something that we need to keep in mind and leave it at that. The third point is, the kind of questions that come up need to be related to the operations that have been conducted and the results thereof. It appears the questions are coming up on the operations and not the results. So this is something that I think we need to balance out and then see where it goes. I am sure the Parliament debate is going on as on the expected lines, and I am sure at the end of the debate, we'll come to some kind of a closure on this.
Okay, I have a little less time than I was hoping, so I will have to give the last word, unfortunately, to General Shukla himself. General Shukla, yes, you wanted to make a couple of quick points on the Sindoor debate?
No, very quick points. I just want to say this, that, the opposition has a right to raise questions, and why not in a democracy? Just as they demonstrated solidarity. And when the multi-party delegations went abroad, I observed that the most eloquent faces were from the opposition. Shashi Tharoor, Priyanka Chadha. So that's good bipartisan stuff. But I just hope that the national security debates would deepen. And just let me make 2-3 points. See, Operation Sindoor has been a great success militarily. Pakistan was virtually decimated on the 10th of May. There, the collusivity between Pakistan and China lay shattered when those J-10s, J-17s and HQ-9s, J-10s, J-17s were scurrying for cover. But the point is this, that, and this is a larger point with Pakistan, China and all that, that Op Sindoor is just the beginning. India will have to plot its rise amidst multiple crises, conflicts,
Absolutely.
and confrontations. And there we have to step up our game. And you just allow me 30 seconds. Look what can happen. The question is not Rafale's going down. The question is, because BVR combat has stalemated, how do you break out? AD topology, unmanned systems, offensive ISR. If Israel knew from 2006 where Nasrallah was hiding, where those 30 generals were. See, next time, how do you escalate? Do you escalate in a similar manner? Or do you have the navigation space capacities to take out Masood Azhar?
Very, very important questions.
Sophisticated upgradation of our capacities. That is important. Our issue of defense budgets. I mean, $450 billion is the year-on-year differential with China. One last point I want to make on transparency. Just 15 seconds, Shiv. See, a tradition in the military is if I'm commanding 19 Div, when an operation is on, I don't even ask my neighboring GOC unless there are matters of cooperation. This is how you keep these things. Now, this is military tradition. It has to be understood.
You know, this
transparency has to be caveated.
I fear we are a long way from thinking on the the excellent prescription that you've just given. But hopefully we can make a start after such a momentous operation as Operation Sindoor. Day one has happened. Day two will happen tomorrow. Maybe it'll go over that as well. But we'll have to see how it goes. I value the words of generals like you very deeply. And I thank you for being with me. General Dhillon, I know you raised your hand, but I'm so sorry I'm completely out of time. I will have the three of you back here on my show tomorrow. With my deepest apologies and gratitude. Thank you very much to the three generals for being with me tonight. And very scant details still trickling in on Operation Mahadev. We have a categorical confirmation that 3 terrorists have been killed, at least one of them directly linked to the Pahalgam terror attack 97 days ago. Joining me live now from the United States is John Spencer, Chair of Urban Warfare Studies at the Modern War Institute and one of the foremost voices when it comes to warfare, urban warfare and army and military operations. John, welcome. Thanks for being with me back here on NDTV. It's a big day. Indian Parliament, as you know, is debating and discussing Operation Sindoor, which is, the subject matter of one of your studies at this time. But the operation that took place, even while that debate is happening, has made the big headlines, John. You've just tweeted on an NDTV story where you've said Indian forces, multiple elements of special forces and commandos, conducted a high-risk night operation in severely restricted mountainous terrain to kill 3 of the terrorists who conducted the Pahalgam attack, to include the mastermind of the carnage. Elaborate on that, your understanding of what has happened. I should say right at the start that very little information has come in the broad contours of that operation as you've just put out.
Yeah, thanks, Shiv. It's great to see you again. As somebody who taught these type of operations in my own military in a place called the Ranger School, I know how hard and almost unimaginable to get into this type of terrain, not be compromised, to be able to do this level of precision. I've learned what I know so far from NDTV, so I'm anxious to hear more details, but it sounds like just an amazing special operations mini units to isolate these terrorists that were still there. And although it's been 97 days, it's actually quite miraculous to do it at this speed. If you remember, for the United States, 9/11, it took us 18 months to get the mastermind, took us 10 years to get Osama bin Laden. So a lot of credit to the Indian military if what we know is true.
Absolutely true. Let me share a few more details that have come in, John, that we're reporting here on NDTV. It is our understanding that this particular group of terrorists, 3 have been killed, but there may have been more. We don't know yet. It's an evolving situation. But they were apparently being tracked for about 3 or 4 days, which, as you know, is not uncommon. That's how intelligence works. They were being tracked both by, eyewitnesses on the ground. There are nomadic communities that operate and live in these hills where some of these terror groups may have been hiding. Drones were used to establish a visual confirmation of their movements and their locations. And then early this morning, very interestingly, John, one of them apparently opened a communications device that has been shut for the last 97 days. A T-82 Ultra set, a communication device, Chinese origin apparently, and that was the big giveaway, and the forces were able to pinpoint their actual location. Those are some of the details that are coming out, John.
Amazing. And it really no surprise, but you still have to give credit to the amount of the operation, just like Operation Sindoor, where you combine old things like human intelligence with very advanced new technologies that India has been invested in. Like I know satellite imagery, signals intelligence, what you're talking about, picking up somebody's cell phone immediately as they turn it on, the ability to identify and blanket an area for collection. All of these things combine the old, the new, in what becomes military dominance, this is another example of this, hopefully some justice for the victims of the terrible attack.
Talk to us a little bit about the challenges as you understand them, John. You've seen what this terrain looks like. It is medium to high altitude. It is very, very uneven mountainous terrain, very thick forests, visibility low, possibility of cloud cover, very thick jungles, like I said. Some of the pictures coming in from the encounter site seem to confirm that this was an excellent hiding place, as it were. What sorts of challenges would the commando team, and the other cordon and search teams have faced in the final hours of this mission?
Absolutely. And I was listening to your coverage with the former, I think, 15 Corps commander.
Yeah.
Triple canopy. I served in a place called Panama. I understand where not only is the enemy your threat, so you don't want the enemy, which is really hard to do, is to isolate somebody who is clearly at a high level of readiness, but just the terrain. To scale this, you need soldiers, men and women who can do hard things. Clearly, this is it. The ability to move in that terrain where there are very few trails, even though you wouldn't want to use the trails, but to do it quietly at night, especially where there's no ambient light, because night vision requires some type of light. And in many of these triple canopy or triple jungle situations, there is no light. So just the gravity of difficulty and how many ways this could have gone wrong. And it appears to have all work, even if you put drones in front of you, which are more of this old things that are really hard to do with new technologies, you put drones in front of you to try to help you. It's severely difficult, and I don't know if we can communicate how hard this would have been for the Indian forces that were involved.
It is really interesting because a part of it happened during the night. The actual encounter happened in the morning hours, in daylight, which would have brought its own risks, obviously, because of visibility. And John, we've seen many encounters in Kashmir that have led to casualties, within the military. Not uncommon at all. Also because many of these terrorists are well trained. They're trained in special operations. One of the persons involved in the Pahalgam attack is known to be a former Pakistan Army special operator as well. So these are people who know how to survive out there and to fight back. So to be able to kill the three of them, again, I want to be cautious because this is still an evolving situation. It's not going to be easy to do something like that. These are not just ragtag terrorists. They're very well trained.
Absolutely. And they'll have triple layers of defense. So people imagine, somebody just quietly sitting in a room, oblivious, not a trained individual like this, or even like me. You'd have multiple layers of detection and alert outside of the area in order to get into those positions, and how meticulous, how quiet the forces had to be, how much they'd have to just stay in one place for a long period of time. To create this extreme difficulty, especially against, let alone an untrained individual, but to do it against a trained individual in this amount of severely restricted terrain. I mean, you could have injuries just falling off the side of the mountain, which is often normal for soldiers as well.
Something else that's become a talking point, John, of course, are the weapons. And, when you get photographs from the encounter site, they immediately become the subject matter of open source intelligence experts looking in great detail at every little aspect of the photographs, how the weapons are arranged, how the bodies are positioned, how the shoes are kept, etc., etc. And there's a wealth of information that you get from photographs, and you'd know what each of these photographs actually looks like from a forensic perspective. But one little talking point has become, the weapons. The AK-47s, of course, are normal, expected. The Kalashnikov rifles are very much standard weaponry when it comes to terror groups operating in Kashmir and the Kashmir Valley. There's one picture which shows an M4 carbine, an American weapon. And again, not for the first time, but it's once again become a reminder in some ways of how, NATO weaponry from Afghanistan, from elsewhere probably has made its way, and, the supply chain of these weapons continues.
Absolutely. And we saw the same thing in other areas like the Hamas attack in Israel. Yeah. But because of the proximity to Afghanistan and how much the Taliban was selling the arms that were left for the Afghan army to everybody, clearly would make it into the hands of the many, not just one, many terrorist organizations in Pakistan with the sole intent to do these types of attacks in India. So absolutely, I also caution, and I'm learning a lot. Like you said, we'll hear the official briefing. What do we know for sure, and versus this open and source intelligence that can often, from the 5 mysterious planes that went down during Operation Sindoor to the other side where people are trying to leap to conclusions. I don't take a lot from seeing different types of weapons, even within the terrorists, although getting them into this area, I'm sure would be difficult and you might need external help.
Well, the Indian Army will be holding a special briefing tomorrow. I'm sure you're going to be tuning into that as well. Hopefully, many of these unanswered questions in an evolving situation, will get some clarity. 97 days since Pahalgam, and we do know that there is a clear link from at least one of these terrorists to the Pahalgam terror attack itself, in which 26 people were killed. John, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for speaking to me on NDTV tonight.
Thanks, Shiv.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
Finessa windows, beautiful and durable designs. इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Find Finer Finesta. Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools and lead with impact. Starts August the 23rd. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
Finessa windows, beautiful and durable designs. इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Find Finer Finesta.
Finessa windows, beautiful and durable designs. इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Find Finer Finesta.
That's huge. That is a biggie. It's out of it.
Gold Plus Clear Glass. Par ho ya near, sab kuch dikhe clear.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
फिनेस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Fine, finer, Finesta.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
कैसे 5 दहशतगर्द वहां पर जाकर 26 लोगों की गोलियों से छलनी करते हैं, ये सूचना रक्षा मंत्री ने नहीं दी।
उन्होंने एक बार भी हमसे यह नहीं पूछा कि हमारी सेनाओं ने दुश्मन के कितने विमान मारे गिराए।
आज ये खुद कह रहे हैं कि हमारा मकसद युद्ध का नहीं था। हम पूछना चाहते क्यों नहीं था, होना चाहिए था।
देश मंत्री यहाँ स्टेटमेंट कर रहा है, उस पर भरोसा नहीं है, उनको किसी और देश पर भरोसा है, इसीलिए ये वहां बैठे हैं और 20 तक वहीं बैठे।
There was no call between the Prime Minister and President Trump.
यह ऑपरेशन केवल पाज किया गया है। टेररिस्ट कैंप्स और उनके सपोर्टर्स को टारगेट करना, उन्हें नाबूद करना।
Hello everyone, this is I'm Maria Shakil. The much-awaited discussion in Sindoor started in the Lok Sabha today. Defence Minister Rajnath led the government's charge, and in his point-by-point rebuttal to opposition's charges, Rajnath Singh reiterated that the mission was paused without any external pressure. He dismissed any such claims as absolute basis of any kind of intervention coming in from the US. He said, and I quote, "Under Prime Minister Modi's leadership, India is no longer the country it once was. Today, dossiers have been replaced with decisive action. India no longer tolerates terror, it responds. And it now has the strength to strike at the very terrorism and uproot it completely." The opposition too fielded its speakers, with Gaurav Gogoi and Dipinder, who are questioning the government on Operation Sindoor, when they asked why the Chief of Defence Staff spoke Shanghai on the jets being downed by enemy state Pakistan. Let's first listen in to the big highlights of day one of this debate.
कभी-कभी हमारे प्रतिपक्ष के लोग ये पूछते रहे हैं कि हमारे कितने विमान गिरे।